And we are fresh off of our show on Coast to Coast AM on Tuesday night with George Norrie and a million or so of our closest friends. And we talked about the idea of interterrestrials, the idea of extraterrestrials. A lot of you have no idea what that even means, and that's okay. That's fine. But we're going to talk about it again here today because I was sent some great information. And I don't know if the person wants to be identified or not, but his name is David. And he sent me some great information about a sighting of what we would call interterrestrial beings in Russia, right here on planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen. So amazing stuff. We're going to talk about that. And I got a weird flicker. I don't know why I've got that weird flicker, but there's nothing I can do about it. So we're just going to have to live with that. Hopefully it'll go away. Today at 2 p.m., I'll be joined by 2 p.m. Central. I'll be joined by Jay Campbell and James True as we talk about his books, James True's books, The Technology of Belief, and also Blueprints of Mind Control. So that's going to be a great, great program, ladies and gentlemen. I think you'll enjoy it very, very much. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. I hate that flicker, but the only choice is to go to a different camera, and it looks kind of crappy, but so does this, doesn't it? Well, we'll see if it clears up. If it doesn't, maybe we'll do some different things. But we're going to go ahead and take a look right now at this idea of interterrestrials and extraterrestrials. And you're all familiar with extraterrestrials. You know, an extraterrestrial, you know what? We're just going to have to get rid of this. So, oh, it's even flickering without the green screen. How about that? That's really, really nuts. Really, really nuts, ladies and gentlemen. Well, what do you say we go to just a different camera altogether and see what happens? Well, we got that. And that's not very sexy, but hey, you know what? It works. And what is all this stuff that I'm seeing over here? That's kind of weird stuff, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll adjust things just a little bit. And we won't see that anymore. I'm not even sure what that is. Oh, is that my camera? That is my camera, but guess what? I don't need that camera because it's not working properly. And it's an irritation. You try to improve things, and then things start screwing up. And it gets very irritating. But what are you going to do, ladies and gentlemen? What are you going to do? So less than ideal audio, but I'm told that the most important thing on YouTube, or less than ideal video, but I'm told the most important thing on YouTube is good audio. And we've got that. We've got that. So, and we've got hot water. So an extraterrestrial, of course, is a being from outside of Earth, somewhere else. You guys all believe those. And you all believe in those. And you're kind of hooked on those. And you're a little bit of an addict on those, a lot of you. But an interterrestrial would be a being that is from here, from the Earth. I'm not sure if it's inter or intra. George and I talked about that. The producer, Lisa, and I talked about that. But whether they're interterrestrials or intraterrestrials, the idea is that they would be beings from here, from places that we have not discovered yet. And if you think about it, this planet is covered 70%, we're told, by water. 95% of that water is unexplored. 95% of what's under the ground on this planet is unexplored. 100% of the land that Admiral Byrd saw beyond the Antarctic is unexplored. And also unexplored would be ideas of hollow earth. And if we really want to get crazy, unexplored would also be the idea that beings from the future or from the past could, in fact, be traveling through time travel technology to come and deal with us here on Earth. Because the idea is, and what I started off on Coast to Coast was, that there's an idea that's growing. Robert Stanley is a proponent of it. I'm a proponent of it. And I think that's the whole list. That malevolent beings Those beings that mean harm to other beings are restricted to their home planets. They're restricted to their home planets. They can't leave. And yet, we have many people here on Earth claiming to have many malevolent interactions with what they are calling almost universally extraterrestrials. If our theory of the malevolent extraterrestrial being restricted to its home planet is true, then these things can't possibly be extraterrestrials. Jeff, are you saying we're crazy? Jeff, are you saying it's not happening? No, I'm not. But I am saying that Occam's razor, which basically, for those of you that believe the Bible is 100% the Word of God, means that the simplest explanation, the one that you have to make up the least shit about to get it right, is the best one. And Occam's razor would say, they're probably from here. Let's exhaust the possibilities they're from here, especially when you're sitting on a place that has 70% water, 95% of it unexplored, 95% of the underground explored, 100% of the lands beyond the Arctic unexplored, and heaven forbid that our flat earth friends might have any credibility at all, and there could be more expanses of land that we don't even know about. So that's what an intra or an interterrestrial would be, somebody that's right from here. And you don't have to have a little green man from the dark side of Uranus to do something malevolent to you. He just might come from about 752 feet beneath Uranus. You never know. So let's take a look at this, and let's take a look at a sighting, ladies and gentlemen, a very detailed sighting of just such beings. It was in a place called Lake Baikal. I think it's Baikal. I'm not sure completely of the pronunciation, but you know what we should do is let's go ahead and take a look. I want to give you a perspective of where that lake is. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to start sharing that. And we're going to take a look at this lake, ladies and gentlemen, this Russian lake. And I know that a lot of you aren't really good at geography, so let me help you. This is the lake here, but let's back out so you can see where this is. This big country up here, that's Russia. I know a lot of you can't find it on the map, but there it is. That's Russia. This is Mongolia. This is China. This is one of the stands of Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, one of those places. And here's that lake. So if you zoom in on that lake, this is the lake we're talking about. And this lake, folks, is huge. It's a really big lake. You can tell that just from looking at it. I mean, even when you're looking from the ISS, if it's real, it'd probably look about like that. That's a big lake. I mean, this is the Mediterranean, right? Or is that the Persian Gulf? But no, this is the Persian Gulf. One of these, I mean, those are big bodies of water, and this lake is pretty damn huge, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the lake that we're talking about, and that gives you perspective of this lake. So now let's go ahead and let's talk about what we're talking about that lake, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. That lake, believe it or not, holds 1/4 of all the fresh water on planet Earth. It's in southwestern Siberia, as you saw, southeastern, right down by the Mongolian border. It's the oldest and deepest lake, we're told. And 1/4 of the Earth's fresh water's there. It's up to 5,000 feet deep. Now, I've been in Lake Tahoe, which is like a couple thousand feet deep. So this thing is twice as deep as Lake Tahoe. And it's home to a plethora. If you're a 100% Word of God Bible believer, that means a lot. It's a home to a plethora of unexplained phenomenon. Locals claim countless peculiar UFO encounters occurring within this remote region of Russia. Some people are theorizing that possibly there's an extraterrestrial base beneath those lakes' deep waters. Oh, Jeff, that's ridiculous. Oh, is it? But it's not ridiculous that there's some being coming from Draco, the Draco system, and that he wants to eat you. That's perfectly rational, perfectly reasonable. There's beings from the Pleiades that are in orbit right now. That's perfectly rational. That's perfectly reasonable. But to think that there might actually be some beings in a 5,000-foot lake that we've never even explored, oh, that's ridiculous. Is it really? Is it really ridiculous? I don't think so. Especially after I learned of a Soviet military diver's discovery. In 1982, during some routine Soviet military training dives, and boy, that's some deep, cold water dives, they were down in this deep water and they saw some figures swimming nearby. Why does it have to? Anunnaki would not be from here, Diana. And again, it's got to be Anunnaki. And I'm not frustrated with Diana. I'm just frustrated with the mindset. Why does it always have to be from out there? Our first response is, oh, it's from out there. It's the Anunnaki. It's the Uranaki. Those are the ones from the dark side of Uranus. It's these guys. It's those guys. Why? And I know why. The reason why we say that is because we've been bred and conditioned for 2,000 years, and especially in this country since the late 1940s, that it's all ET, ET, ET. And I'm telling you, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Jeff, why do you repeat yourself? Because it's very easy, as Mark Twain said, to fool you. But it's very difficult to convince you that you've been fooled. I'm with two trees. It is intraterrestrial. That would be my 2 cents. Why do you think they've got to be Anunnaki? Why do you think they've got to be Pleiadian? Why do you think they got to be from somewhere else? They could be right from here, and logic and Occam's razor says they most likely are. So these guys are swimming around in a deep lake, and of course they ran into Anunnaki. No, not of course they ran into Anunnaki. Several curious creatures approached them. They were at a depth of over 164 feet, and they wore no modern equipment. Just to give you an idea, I'm a certified diver, and when you're a regular certified scuba diver, you're only allowed to go down 60 feet. These guys were down 164 feet. Isn't that amazing? Yet they wore no modern scuba equipment as we would consider modern scuba equipment. And at this confrontation, what happened is they saw that these beings were wearing what looked like a tight-fitting metallic suit, which interestingly enough is exactly how most people describe extra quote-unquote terrestrials. They're in metallic suits, man, sparkly suits, and they're like form-fitting. And not only that, but these underwater intraterrestrials had a helmet-like apparatus that completely covered their heads, just like the extraterrestrials do. And as they looked at these beings, they noticed that they were probably about 10 feet tall, just like a lot of the extraterrestrials are. And then the beings disappeared back into the water. After the run-in, they went and they told their boss, and in typical Soviet fashion, he says, get back down there, comrades, and catch one of them. So they tried to catch one in a net. I mean, you see this advanced race under the ocean, and then you think you're going to catch one in a net. Niet, which means no in Russian. Niet to the net. Didn't work out. So when they showed that force of aggression, well, the alien, see, even you got me even saying it, the intraterrestrial reacted predictably. They defended themselves. But I think it's very interesting that they just defended themselves. Thank you, Two Trees. They just defended themselves, but they didn't overreact and like kill bitches. They could have done that, but they didn't. They just reacted, and they did react forcefully. Why can't I get that off of there now? But anyway, they reacted forcefully, and what they did, they shot intense sonar waves. And it's funny because we were just watching, what were we watching the other night, Cynthia? We were watching Fringe, and there were these beings that had these like sonic cannon guns. They had these sonic cannon guns. And they were shooting something very similar to what the Soviet divers reported that they were shooting at them underwater. And what it did is it knocked them out, and it rapidly propelled them to the surface. And that's a problem if you're a scuba diver. You can only go up a certain amount of speed. You never want to go up as fast as your bubbles because your body has to adjust to the pressure. And once these guys got pushed up to the top in that dramatic fashion, in that quick fashion, there weren't enough decompression chambers. And tragically, some of the guys died because of they had the bends. They couldn't get up into a decompression chamber fast enough because there was only, again, in typical Soviet fashion, only one decompression chamber. If it was the U.S., there'd have been 17 of them that never got used, but they'd have been there. So and the ones that did survive were left with life-altering disabilities. Diana, no report on what the faces looked like because they were covered in those helmets, but the bodies were roughly humanoid. So that's what happened at Baikal. And then following this catastrophe, the KGB, which was the Soviet CIA equivalent, they wised up, they stopped trying to get the USOs or the underwater submerged objects, and they hid it for a long time. But finally, a brave soul named Vladimir Azhazra, a Soviet naval officer, declared the Russian government executives recently released the declassified files. The aquanauts were described in great detail. Navy commanders had extensive monitoring with many underwater nuclear vehicles in the lake, and such technology was seen that it was great speeds. And we shared with George Norrie on Coast to Coast on Tuesday. You remember the Nimitz UFOs, right? You remember the Tic Tac UFOs? And let me just go ahead and pull that up real quickly. Maybe we'll show you a little bonus Nimitz Tic Tac UFO. Maybe we'll show you a little bonus video of those so you can know exactly what we're talking about, because it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Let's see if I can show you this. We'll do our best to show you some of this Tic Tac video. I'm not going to play any audio, not that I don't think it would work, but I just want to show you this and have you see what it looked like. And let's go ahead and move ahead to where they are. And this was the videos of these UFOs, ladies and gentlemen, and it is playing. Those are the UFOs that the Nimitz aircraft carrier saw. And a lot of us don't realize that these videos were shot in like 2004, ladies and gentlemen. Like in 2004. You thought it was just happened because it was just released, but no, this was in like 2004. And the thing you didn't hear, unless you were listening to Coast AM on Tuesday night, or unless you're an intrepid researcher, such as myself, is that, and look at, there's a whole fleet of them, they're saying. And of course, we're coming to you from the Global News website here. And 4 years after this, ladies and gentlemen, 4 years after this, that's enough to give you an idea of what we were talking about. 4 years after this occurrence, these same UFOs were seen and sighted again. They were seen and sighted again, and they were seen and sighted by U.S. Navy Los Angeles class submarines. And they were sighted under the water going in excess of 500 miles per hour. You didn't hear about that part. They didn't want you to hear about that part. Why? I would suggest that it doesn't fit the dominant narrative that they're trying to push, that everything is extraterrestrial. Amazing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing stuff. And let's go back and get back into our production here, our video. Now, this is the lake. And this is a picture taken in 2009 from supposedly the International Space Station, whatever it is, a balloon, whether it's a high orbit plane, whatever. But we'll get to that in a second. In the 1950s, a Soviet jet crashed into the lake after it was pursued by an unknown metallic vehicle. There's eyewitnesses to it. But even more interesting, ladies and gentlemen, this is a picture from orbit. Let's just say from orbit. And I get into a lake every morning, even in the winter, and sometimes I have to break the ice up on that lake. And when you break the ice up in the lake, this is how it looks. But remember, we're looking from orbit. But lakes the ice on lakes doesn't break unless there is a force that causes it to break. And isn't it interesting that from orbit, a picture was taken that looks like some type of a circular object is rising up and causing, because it's lifting up this lake ice in the middle. And lake ice is a solid sheet, and it does have some bend to it, some flexibility. It's ice. When I go under the water, I punch a hole and I'm under the water. When I'm under there, I can hear the ice singing because the ice is flexing, and it makes vibration, and it makes really very beautiful and harmonious music. Sometimes I've been under there, and it's so interesting to listen to that all of a sudden I've realized I can't breathe under there. And I come up very quickly. Thankfully, I'm only like 10 feet underneath. So this doesn't happen just by happenstance. There's something under this lake. There's something that's raising the lake ice, and there's something that's causing it to break. And if you look at this, it sure looks like it could be a circular object rising up out of the lake and causing the lake ice to break. Could it be intraterrestrials? Looks like it could be intraterrestrials to me. And the question becomes, extraterrestrials or intraterrestrials? Which one makes the most sense, ladies and gentlemen? Which one makes the most sense? And if it happens here in this Russian lake, why wouldn't it also happen under the sea? Why couldn't it also happen under the land? Why couldn't it also happen beyond the Arctic? And think about it. If there were beings that were coming from our past and acting malevolently, they're not breaking that universal law, because they're from here. Why do we automatically assume that they're all from outer space? I submit to you that it is time to broaden our perspective. It's time to broaden our perspective, and it's time for us, high time for us, to realize that we could be dealing not with extraterrestrials, that we could be dealing with intraterrestrials. And I'll go so far as to say it is my studied belief, ladies and gentlemen, or narrow our perspective. That's a great idea. It's my studied belief, and it's not my studied belief. Based on my study, I am convinced that the malevolent activity that we encounter on this planet is not from extraterrestrial beings. The malevolent activity on this planet is from intraterrestrial beings. There's no proof that they are extraterrestrials coming here, not a shred of evidence. And before you start trying to convince me of extraterrestrials, I suggest we do our due diligence and check out our own backyard. And as Tracy's mentioning, it could just be crappy humans. We haven't even mentioned the part of, well, it could just be governmental projects. It could just be para-governmental projects. It could just be Private projects. It could be Tesla gone wild. It could be military projects from our country or other countries. It could be people from the future. I could even say it could be people from the past. And it could even be beings that are from here traveling interdimensionally. Do we really think that we're the only people that inhabit this entire space right here within our atmosphere? I don't know. But I say there's got to be at least the possibility, and we've got to keep our mind open enough to at least consider this. And I'm with Tracy. We should narrow our perspective and first research our own backyard before we start making claims of extraterrestrials. But the extraterrestrial claims are made because they're sexy and because they get clicks and because they get views and because people buy tickets and people watch movies. They're sexy. ETs are sexy. And they're scary. And they're being leveraged by the dominant paradigm to keep you fearful. I'm so afraid. Will you please protect me, government? I'm afraid I need a space force to protect me. It's part of the fear and guilt control matrix. And anything that produces fear and that produces humans to cede sovereignty, divinity, and freedom for control in exchange for protection, for me, is bad, bad news. It's no bueno. Tracy Dyer says they're from here as we go to the chat room, not out there. Karen's favorite color is green, just in case you were wondering. Mark speculated earlier they could be interdimensionals. J.R. Barron says, well, maybe they're mole people. They could be mole people, absolutely. Tracy's questions if there are even beings on the balls of electricity that she's speculating that the plants and stars are. Good morning to you in Seattle. The Van Allen belt could be part of that quarantine. Very well stated, Karen Carpenter. And for the love of baby Jesus, will you please go get a sandwich? And Earthlings, Cynthia says they're Earthlings. Tracy was laughing ahead of that joke. She was precognitive with that joke. My ex, says Melissa, is a Russian. And her ex, which we can assume is a man, but maybe that's sexist, saw a giant UFO as big as the sky. And Cynthia herself has seen a great big UFO, and her confirming it was a he ex is from Siberia. Very, very interesting. Even Bama Wildlife agrees. A lot of it is hidden in plain sight. Let's see what else. What about the ice wall? Lots of water in that. Antarctica being the highest continent, enormous ring around us. We know where Ordinary Bear comes down. We are so programmed that we won't look within, and they don't want us to look within here either. Again, thanks so much to Two Trees for that super chat. We do appreciate you very, very much. Every time I say the dark side of Uranus, Tarot Tribe Casadega thinks of the South Park. Oh boy, that's terrible. I won't say that anymore. You just cured me. You just cured me. Let's see. The only word people know is Anunnaki. And that's a very, very interesting statement because it's very, very true. The Vril, says Henry Ballo, we're dealing with inner Earth reptilians. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what else we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Followed by Enlil and Inky, of course. Is that Enlil or is it Inky? Do you think it was Enlil in the water or Inky? I don't care if it was Enlil, Inky, or Stinky. I don't know any of those guys. And they're no more real to me than Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. None of them. None of them. So anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Oh boy, here we go. Now we're back to Anunnaki. We're back to the Sumerians, the Oannes. Yeah, so what? Cool story, bro. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Ancient channels beneath the great canals have been there for eons. Yep, get out the butterfly net. Let's catch us an underwater alien. Are those guys serious? I mean, I know that the Soviet Union didn't have the greatest type of technology, but a net? Wow, come on, man. A net? I don't believe with that. Peter James says, why can't we all get along? I agree with that. Daniel shaking his head saying, wow, some of these comments. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. Why do we know there's a hidden space program? You know what? I got to say this, and I know this doesn't help my numbers. I got a hard time buying the hidden space program. I really do. I got a hard time buying the one that's not hidden. So I got a really big time finding the one that is hidden. And I'm waiting for the person. Here I go again. Sorry, Cynthia. I'm waiting for the person that was a janitor in the secret space program. I'm waiting for the person that took out the trash in the hidden space program. I'm waiting for the guy that fixed the computers in the hidden space program. But none of them did. They were all out there killing reptoids, killing spider monkey women. They're all out there killing aliens and traveling here and there. Didn't anybody take out the trash? Am I a little skeptical about the secret space program? No, I'm really skeptical about the secret space program. So-called sheesh, says hot damn it, 500 miles an hour underwater. It's a lot of resistance in water. 500 miles an hour underwater. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Personally, I don't believe a word of that. Psh, come on, bro. That is a pretty cool photo, and it gives you something to really think about. Really think about it. Let's see. What else we got? Isn't it intense heat from a round spot? Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me anyway. What about the commercial fishing? They did. The commercial fishermen are actually the ones, Peter, that saw that Russian jet get chased by a metallic object before it crashed into that very lake. We do need more research on that lake and every other body of water. Hart Walker says we have intra and extra. That's very, very possible. Very, very possible. Tracy says the malevolent ones are probably just crappy humans. Well, the humans have shown their propensity to be crappy. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Deep state. We need to search our deep state. The deep state of our oceans, the deep state of our ground, the deep state of the trans-Antarctic land. But the deep state doesn't want us to do that. They do not want us to do that. Mark says he was a plumber in the secret space program. Great. I'm glad to see that there finally is one. But what about the blue avians? Oh, that's right. What about the blue space chickens? Absolutely. I forgot about them, ladies and gentlemen. Scotty says, hell, we can't even find Bigfoot. Yep, we can't. And then we have the random mention of Atlantis. Okay, that's great. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Something to think about. Something to ponder. And the next time you hear about aliens from extraterrestrial regions, can you just ask yourself, is it true? Is it true? And here's another thing I'm very, very dubious about. And it's not anything against Jean-Guy Saint-Jean, but I think you're talking about Werner Van Braun. On his deathbed admits, you lost me on his deathbed admits. Because number one, unless you were there, Jean-Guy Saint-Jean, I have to say, is it true? On his deathbed, which I think meant bed, admitted that arming space is the last card before establishing the New World Order. Thanks for commenting. I need more than that. I need more than that, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. Ooh, Anunnaki and Atlantis are like Tourette's. I need more proof, Jean-Guy. And his assistant was there. And did you know that in a court of law, anecdotal evidence is the weakest. I heard him say, oh, you know what, John Walsh or Jean Guy, I bet his assistant was the whistleblower. The whistleblower said, I heard some guy who heard what he said told me. That's not evidence. And I'm not saying anything against you. We've got to get better than that. Some guy said that some guy was there, heard. That's not evidence. Unless you're Nancy Pelosi, that's not evidence. It's just not evidence. And I'm sorry if that upset you, but here on this channel, we go with the facts. And we're talking about, I'm sure Tony Rodriguez is a great guy, but Tony Rodriguez's testimony ain't enough. I'm sure Tony Rodriguez is a great guy, but I can find you Tony Rodriguez that lies too. I need more than anecdotal evidence. Call me a skeptic, but you got to prove it to me, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to prove it to me. And I don't apologize for that. I really don't. My cousin's girlfriend's baby sister knows a guy. Yeah, we've got to do better, ladies and gentlemen. That's just my suggestion. That's my exhortation. Jeff just said that all the secret space people are liars. I didn't say that. I said I need more than people's opinions. I need more than people's opinions. Now, this one I'm seeing, I don't know if this is a joke. If it is, that's a funny ass joke. Jeff, if you do the research, saying this to the guy that's got 100,000 hours of study in the biblical text. If you do the research, Jonah was on an underwater UFO, not a whale. Eric, I appreciate you saying that. And I guess it might be true. But the problem is that Jonah wasn't even real. Okay? Jonah wasn't even real. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen. So Dr. Carl Rosen was the first woman corporate manager of Fairchild and was a spokesperson for Werner von Braun in the last years of her life. Jean Guy, you're not helping me. She was the spokesperson for a Nazi? And that's supposed to make me believe her? I don't know. And again, it's anecdotal evidence. I need some proof. Show me the money. Help me help you. Show me the money. I agree with this that Tracy's stating. She's stating somewhere, if I can find it, that the secret space people, secret space program people believe what they're saying. Many of them could possibly have been programmed or planted. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And Peter James, with extraordinary proof that you can wash Uranus in the ocean. You can watch Uranus in the ocean. And that's all Jeff is asking for. Just show me the proof. Just show me the money. And some girl heard from some guy that was there is not proof. It is not proof, ladies and gentlemen. Would the secret space program simply be for our atmosphere and other countries attacking us from there? Ooh, that's an interesting theory right there. I like that one. Very, very interesting, folks. And again, the point of this whole thing is don't start believing, as somebody mentions Ario, don't start believing just because somebody says. Ask for and seek proof. This show has been brought to you by Mystech. That's the bracelets that I wear. You can go to jeffreydaugherty.com and get 20% off of Mystech. And you can also go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Focus Life Force Energy logo there, and you get 30 months, 30 days free. Whoever, Journey Boston, same thing. You can go on a journey to Boston. So it's you have 30 days to learn and start believing about the Focus Life Force energy. That's available at jeffreydaugherty.com. And also we'll have a show this weekend from the C60 Purple Power booth at Conscious Life. What's it called? Conscious Life Expo. I was going to drive over there. Just couldn't make myself drive 24 hours to stay for 24 maybe. But next year I'll be there. But we'll have some shows from there with Ken Schwartz, the founder, president of C60 Purple Power. And we're going to be talking about the coronavirus. Very, very interesting. If you want to try C60 Purple Power, it's the best antioxidant. Go to c60purplepower.com and you can use TCW10 and get 10% off. Two Trees is 100% correct. You do both Fluffy and Mistech works. They work tremendously. You should try them out. You should try them out, especially when the Fluffy's free and there's a no questions asked money back guarantee with Mistech. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen, before we pass on? And time to go get in the sauna. That's about 150 degrees. Then time to go jump on into that frozen lake, which is now about 30 degrees. And it's interesting to watch the delay between YouTube and what comes up here. So, because I was waiting for this. Cynthia's thankful that she heard me on Coast to Coast AM on 6:40 a.m. I'm glad that you were back on the subject. And of course, there aren't any coincidences. So you and that very studious looking friend of yours in your picture have got some homework to do. We're waiting for you to report back. We appreciate you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you. And I told you, if you say anything about Mistech in the chat, you're getting bounced. I said you'd get banned. I'm going to give you one chance. And while I'm here, I'll just say this. We do everything we can to get it to you on a regular basis. If you're not getting it, it takes a while. And again, this is Chinese New Year. He came on the channel and told you it's going to take a while. If you don't want to wait, don't order. If you do order, it might take a couple weeks for you to get it. And don't email me, because all I do is forward it to Halo. You're just slowing it down. Halo@mistech.net. @mistech.net. Does it work? Yes. Is it is it Amazon delivery? No, it's not. It's not. And really, if you don't want to be patient, if you're not willing to wait a couple of 3 weeks, let's say 3 weeks. If you're not willing to wait 3 weeks, please don't order, because you're going to get mad and then you're going to say something nasty to me. And then I'm never going to do business with you again, because I just don't have time or desire to do business with nasty people. And oh, by the way, there's a coronavirus going on over there, ladies and gentlemen. And I do just happen to have a colloidal silver Mistech bracelet on, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. There you go. So with that, we are going to move on, ladies and gentlemen. And sorry for my little outburst there, but you know, every now and then we just got to say it. Shine the light. They do different things, apples and oranges. I probably missed that one, but that's okay. Thank you, Yastar. We appreciate it very much. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We're here to help you unindoctrinate yourself. I know Mark Twain said that it's easier to fool someone than it is to convince them they've been fooled. My job is the latter. I got the hard job, but that's okay. I'm going to keep doing it. You don't have original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. You are not sinful. You don't need salvation, and you don't have to crawl on your knees to their Savior, the only one in town, ladies and gentlemen. And Peter Van Cola, well, bye, bitch. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. But some of you are too bitchy to know it. But that's okay. That's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, to help you all out. I love it. I can't get enough of it. That's why we'll be back at 2 p.m. Central today. 2 p.m. Central today. Karen loves her rods. Thank you. 2 p.m. Central with James True and the one, the only, Jay Campbell. It's going to be fun. A good time will be had by all. Until then, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. For Tracy and all of our wonderful moderators, and for my love, Cynthia, we salute you for being here, seeking after truth. And we'll see you at 2 p.m. Central Time today for James True and Jay Campbell. Until then, there's never been a better time to unindoctrinate yourself, and only you can do it. We're just here to help.